Right, hello everyone. So today what we're going to be doing on stream is having a look at a scouting point for both sides on each map, just so you can kind of get an idea of where I like to play with these scouts in War Thunder and, nice positions and stuff like that. Now, I have set up a mute function. The reason for this is because I'm going to be coughing every once in a while, so if I mute myself, then, well, you can probably see in the camera what's going on. We're going to be using the AMX-13 today, but this pretty much works with every light tank. The AMX-13 is actually quite a large light tank, at least compared to the majority of them. There is a few which are slightly larger, so something like the Bulldog, where you're going to have to be a little bit more, what would be the word, a little bit more sneaky, or a little bit more relaxed with how you're going to pursue things. So before we get started, let's just get rid of this, and we should be ready to go. So we're going to go through these in order, according to the custom mission. So the first one is Second Battle of El Alamein, then we're going to Frozen Pass, Berlin, and so forth. So yeah, let's just get that sorted. I may do more than one position on each of the maps, but I feel like just doing one for either side works well. Just to give you a kind of idea of where to at least start from. At the same time, what would be the word? We are playing it in arcade battles. The reason for this is so I can get around quicker. Some of these places all of these places can be got to in realistic battles, so you don't really have to worry about that. You can just go to them anyway. So let's go to the right spawn. Now, the general philosophy behind what I want to do when I scout is go to one of the highly populated areas, but try and get it to a point where... I'm just going to check audio here. Yeah, it's good. So, actually, I'll just turn it down a little bit. There we go. So, trying to get to one of the highly populated areas on the map, or at least one of the big points of contention, and being able to scout around it. There's no real point in scouting like just a big field if nothing's in it. It's much better to try and get close to the places where everybody is going to fight. And the reason for this is so you can spot as many enemies as possible, and also at the same time be able to get as many scouts as possible and influence the battle the most. Now, a lot of these places you generally don't have to shoot in, or you don't have to go after. Your main focus is just to scout. Hey Matrix, how you doing, man? And let's just check. Yeah, the audio sounds good. So the first spot for the right side of El Alamein is up here. Now you may have a bit of an issue getting up to this little bit, so just watch out there. You may get shot from the other side, so make sure you're checking behind you at all times. And it's right here. Now, this isn't the safest position, because as you can see, one of the big issues is that there's those rocks over there that people can sit on, especially around about here. So you have to watch those spaces first. If you want a much more safer position, then the place that you go for is right here. So if you sit here, you're completely in the dark to all of your enemies. You can use your binoculars. You don't see C, but you see the entrance to C from the pink side. You see the entrance from this side if you push up, and then you see the rocks as well. So C is a big point of contention on this map. Generally the largest point of contention. A lot of people would argue that it's B, but in my opinion it seems like C is where people get funneled to the most. If you really want to, I mean, you can go along any of this area here. The only issue you just got to watch out for is the hills on the other side. But from a position like this, you can't really spot anything below. You can only look at the hill, but you are masked from the hill itself. But yeah, if you want to get to the best position up here, it's pretty much this area here. Like, you're on a diagonal. Nobody can really shoot you. If they want to hit your cupola, that's a hell of a shot. If they want to hit your gun, you can just repair it. And you can also look for flanking forces coming around here. So you can look for flankers, you can look for people up top, you can look for people entering there, you can look for people entering C. It's a perfect position in that regard. So yeah, simple as that, really. I think this is one of the nicer positions on this map. There aren't that many which are very kind to scouts, but once you've done your job in this area, the only real thing to do is to push down to C and to try and help out, or you can just push around, go down here and flank if you feel like it. Now, the other side is pretty much the same, but looking at that hill that I talked about on, looking over. Once again, the C point is a large point of contention. You want to be able to try and hold it, and therefore scouting at it is highly profitable instead of scouting for another point. So if you spawn up here, which you generally should do. I mean, you could spot into the town to the south, but the main issue with that is it's not the place which is highly populated. It is, there's normally a few tanks there. Yeah, if you win the battle, then you guarantee a point, but up here, if you win the sea battle, then you guarantee 2 points. So you can sit here, right here, and from this position, you can spot pretty much all of the rocks over there that I was talking about, where you can sit. You can also spot the entrance, which is right here, to the bit which comes up. And also, if you push up a little bit, you can spot C as well, and some of the entrance coming in. Now this position, the more you push up, the more you become vulnerable to this area over here, so you do have to watch out. It's better to stay like about here until your team has either pushed through C, or if you know that everybody is dead apart from the people on the hill. And obviously spot the hill before you push up. Once you push up, there's these rocks you can sit behind, but they're not tall enough for the majority of light tanks. They're not really even tall enough for this AMX here. And once again, there's not really a lot of cover here, so it's better to stick to that first position than try and push around like it is on the other one. Like, you can sit in a position like this, but then you lose looking at C, and you gain looking here. But generally it seems the people who flank come from the pink side. They don't really seem to come from the green side, so this position isn't that useful. The position before over there is much more useful. So once you've taken C, one of the things I like to do, no matter what side I'm on, is to head to the sector E4. So if we've taken C, that generally means that the top pink spawn is pretty much out of action for the enemy team. So you can kind of just breeze past it. You obviously have to have a look at what's spawning and everything like that. Let's just do, oops. So yeah, you have to look at what's spawning in. Maybe you can get some scouts off. But the main thing is that you can get down and help out A. Because if you've been helping out C the whole time, generally that means that you've already helped out B. Because a lot of the forces, whoever kind of wins C eventually moves over to B and takes it out. But with A, it's pretty much on its own little island of a battle over there. Let's go around here. There are more efficient ways to get to around A, and I am sliding a bit because it's arcade. I'm not really used to it. Oops. But if we go this way, and we follow the main road, as I said, checking the spawn all the time to make sure anything is spawned in. Generally at this point you'll see AA. AA is obviously incredibly deadly to light tanks in general, so you do have to watch out for that. But you still, you know, you still should be able to spot them for your teammates. Am I still sick? Yeah, I have to mute myself every once in a while to cough. My voice isn't up to par yet. I'm not happy with it. Like, I'm definitely getting better. Like, I actually had some sleep last night. But I still have headaches. Like, my eyes hurt right now. But it is how it is. Goodbye, bush. So we made it down to the E area that I talked about. And it's right here. Now, the reason I like this spot is because... Whoa, buddy. The reason I like this spot near the rocks is if you have conquered the C point and B point from the green side, then the purples will be stuck in their spawn over there. So they can't come down this road and kill you. At the same time, they generally don't anyway. Most people, if they spawn at the top, go towards C or B. So you can sit here in immunity. As long as you don't fire, nobody will really look this way. And you'll be able to spot all of the targets which spawn in. And you can basically just set up a barrage for your enemy, for your allies. At the same time, from this position, you can just sit here with your binoculars out and just wait for the enemies at the green side if you are on the pink side. And you can pretty much just do it with immunity because you have this little, what would be the word? You have this like little incline that you can sit behind, and once again you can see anything that comes out of the spawn. They can go the left way, but still you can see them here, and you can see them here, and you can see them here. So you have the three entrances covered that you know, you can go on. So starting off in this position on the green side, or this position on the pink side, and then either side, if you conquer C and B, you push to this position and help out A. You don't have to fire a single shot if you don't feel like it. You can just scout. So we'll get on to the next map. And I have bots on. The reason for that is so they don't end the mission prematurely. They are in planes though. So we'll go on Frozen Pass next. Frozen Pass, Frozen Pass is an annoying one. This is a map that I'm not massively confident in where to go. I know that a big contention is generally around C. Like, that's pretty much where people fight. But there's no nice spots around C. Like, there are some nice little divots you can hide behind in the majority of scout tanks, but I feel like there is no way of escaping. Something that has to be built into these positions is an idea that you can get away. And the reason for this is because you need to be able to influence other parts of the battlefield if one of the places is not going well. So the reason for that is because you're a scout tank and you're a light tank and you're a quick little like guy. You have to get around the battlefield. So instead, I actually prefer going up to A. Now, going up to A can be a bit rough, but especially from the top side here that I've spawned in, I like going to A, and I'll show you why. From the other side, I'm not particularly sure that going to A is a great idea, but at least you should go around A. Because if A is a point of contention, or it becomes a point of contention, it's very easy for either side to push through A and pretty much spawn camp the enemy team. If you do that through C, it's a little bit harder to do and takes more time, so you can react a little bit faster. Whereas if you decide to do that at A, all you have to do is push through A and sit on this ridge, or sit on the ridge on the other side, and you pretty much, you know, covered the battlefield. Right. So the first point is, if your team is slow up the hill, you obviously have this little rock here. Now, the rock itself, you just sit behind, and if people are capturing the points, you see this little, where my, like, crosshair is, or, you know where it's pointing. Basically, with this, what this basically means is you will see tracks through this. If somebody is capturing A on the left side of it, which is where the majority of people go because they want to get the initial shot off at enemies coming in, there will be tracks which are here. So you can scout an enemy right here, which is nice. At the same time, from this position, what you can do is you can keep tabs on if anybody is pushing out through this little gully here, which is a bit of an issue. Now, let's say your team is a lot faster than the enemy team. Now, generally that doesn't happen from the green side. Generally, the purple side will get to A before the green side does. Then what you have to do is push through to quite a nice little position. So, if we go through here, may have to capture a point here. Maybe not. Let's just see. Let's just get out of it first. So, as a light tank, you can just sit behind this train car. You can see over it with binoculars. You can spot people coming in, and hopefully your team can deal with them. And you can also spot people back here, which is quite a key position that I've seen a lot of people sit at in the days. So, if you are being aggressive, or let's say you've won the initial battle at A, then you can actually sit on the points behind this and be completely unseen, and just use your binos to look over it and shoot all of the enemies, which is nice. Once you've pushed through, you should never push through first. You should wait for a medium to go first, and then if he dies, well, you use your really good gun or your gun to deal with the enemy. There are plenty of just little rocks that you can sit at and just scout, because this position looks over the whole of that enemy spawn. And whether you like that or whether you think it's good map design, it is just a thing, right? It is just how it is. So you can scout every enemy coming out of the spawn. You can scout every enemy which may be trying to go to the church, or maybe near to B. You can't see B, but yeah. So there's that. At the same time, one place you have to check, and one place you may consider while on the purple side is... wait. I'm not sure I can go this way. But there might be a guy sitting, or you may yourself want to sit over here, if I can get to it. I can't remember how you get to it though. I'm guessing it's just straight up here. Now this can only happen with specific vehicles. I'm not exactly sure you'll be able to do this with an AMX in realistic battles. We're in arcade right now. But you see this little bump here? Right here, you don't actually, you know, you're not on a timer. So you can sit here and scout everything that's coming out of that tunnel. Now, some people will sit here with a tank destroyer. The one that annoyed me one day was a Chinu 2. And he was just sat here nailing everything coming out of the tunnel. And nobody seemed to understand where he was coming from. But yeah, he was here. You can scout from this position. You can shoot from this position. It is a really nice position to take. Now, vice versa, with the purple side, you can do exactly the same thing. Push through A and then just sit behind the rocks and scout the whole of that left side spawn. If you don't want to do that, there are a few other places you can go. But as I said, I haven't nailed down the exact places to go on this map. So, you know, there's this position, which isn't great, because you can't see B, you can't really see the entrances to B, and you can't really see the entrances to A either. So this is pretty much a bust. I've seen a few people try and use this, but it just seems kind of useless to me. The only other place, maybe, is if you push through A on either side, and you try and push into this quadrant over here to try and help B. There are some nice hills you can sit around B, but it all depends on what happens with the enemy. Like, if the enemy pushes through C and you're sat on one of these hills, then that's great. If they push through A, then you're boned, and that's obviously not great. So, like, a position like this, it's pretty good. Apart from you can get shot in the arse by people coming over, but you can pretty much spot everything that's coming into B, that's trying to flank C and everything. But I think fighting around the tunnel is probably the best place to do, because whoever wins in the tunnel, they lock down one of the spawn points. Like, if the green side win, then this spawn point is screwed. If the red side win, then this spawn point is screwed. So therefore the enemy is stuck using one spawn point, and then you can even push through and attack that through like this here, or even just through here. So yeah, I think it's much better just to push through the train and do it like that. That's probably the way to go. Alright, so the next map is if it would load, there we go. The next map is Berlin. Berlin is not great for scout tanks, but there's still a few little areas that you can go. This is much more of a proactive map when it comes to scouting. What I mean by that is you have to get your knuckles a bit dirty. So you can't just kind of sit around and scout. You're gonna have to use your gun a lot more, which is fine. You know, a lot of these scout tanks have really good guns on them, or at least good enough guns in order to be useful. Right. So we're spawning on the green side. What we're going to do is go near C. A is one of those places where it's very easy to lock down, and because of this, whoever generally wins the initial battle at A will keep it. And the main reason for that is because of this position here, and, well, not this position, more like this position, and also this position over here, which I can't click. But you know what I mean, like the houses. So we leave that up to the tank destroyers, and we go our separate ways. We go to C. And the reason we go to C is because we can actually spot across the way at those tank destroyers, scout them, and we don't have to shoot them, but, you know, sometimes it's nice to, especially if they're sides to us. So, on the green side, you have this nice set of houses over here. Whoop. And from these houses, there's a little divot. Not really a divot, but a little hole that sits here. So you're going to have to do this. So expose yourself a little bit. But from this point, you can spot. It's quite hard to do it, but you can see like the general premise of it. You can spot the people who are going to be sat in those houses over there, and at the same time, you can maybe spot people who are taking the way to be. I just need to get tissue. I'll be right back. Whoop. Right, okay. So from this position, you can spot, the people who are in the houses over here, which there'll be probably about 4 or 5, like there always is. And you can also spot people who are trying to be a bit cheeky and going across the straight way, trying to get to B. Now, the good thing about spotting these people is because they're out in the open, so going after them works really well. It means that if you spot them, they'll generally get hit by an ally. Spotting to A as well, if you feel like it. You can spot the majority of the cap. You can also spot the roads going in on this side. Also, if you just want to spot C, you can spot the main roads. So you can spot through these little divots here. Pretty much how, how a tank destroyer sets up to take out targets, like down roads, like through the little windows. Well, your job is to find a window to sit below, and so you can't get shots, but you can scout through it, because obviously the main thing we want to do here is use our binoculars. I apologize for the sneezing, but there's not a lot I can do. So, the reason why we sit in a position like this is because we can use our binoculars to spot anything coming down the main road, and also we don't have to expose ourselves. Now, a nice little position I personally like on this side is just over here. And it's just about here. And the reason for this is because you can spot through here, and generally what will happen, especially around BRs around 6 or 5, Hellcats will fly around here. And if you want to go a bit higher, this happens with RU-251s as well. If you want to go a bit lower, it'll happen with stuff like Locusts or Cromwells. They'll just fly around this area. So what you can try and do is spot them, whether they try and get to C or whether they're flying around. And you're in a perfect position, once they do come around, just to shoot them right here. And if you want to actually take a fight, you can take a fight. They'll pop out there, you take a shot, you move back in. Simple as. And you're free from the other side as well. The only thing you've got to watch out for is fire from over here, but if somebody's looking this direction and hits you, then well done to them. You can, if you want, use the divots in the ground in the center, and also, of course, if you feel like it. If you don't feel like playing the proactive way and playing a bit more defensively, of course you can take another tank destroyer position, which is very familiar on this map, and just don't shoot with it, and just kind of sit there. And I'll show it now from the green side. Yep, we're on high graphics, by the way. We're not on max like usual. I don't like streaming with max graphics. I don't think it makes that much of a difference. So from the spawn, you can make your way up here, near these tanks. And of course, tank destroyers and stuff are going to be looking this way, because this is the general position where you'll find tank destroyers. So what you have to do is to make sure you're hidden. So like something like this, and then you can just scout over the top of them. So you can scout anything coming to A. You can scout anything that's in the buildings back there. You can scout anything in the river. You can scout anything which is coming out of the left side of the spawn. You can scout anything that's coming out of the further left hand of the spawn. This is a perfect position if you want to actually just pure scout. Now, the reason why I think this is secondary to the other position is because Berlin is such a snowbally map that we have to be a little bit proactive in how we play. Otherwise, we're just going to get bogged down, and there's only going to be us left. compared to everybody else if we stick in this position. Also, from the other position, there is a way to advance forward. You can advance around the side, so you can go like this way, or you can go this way, or you can go to C, but the idea is you can at least push through. From this position, once you get here, you're kind of stuck here, unless the buildings at the back get cleared out, and that doesn't really happen until the game's pretty much over. So once you're here, you're here. Can you take pot shots? No. They have bigger guns than you, and you don't have the armor for it, no matter what scout you're in. So it's better to stick here, play a pure scout role, and if you lose, then you lose. Maybe you be a bit more proactive next time, but this is a perfect place for scouting if you want to do it like that. Now the other side is kind of interesting, from the purple side, because the only real place to scout or have a position like this is to use the houses where the tank destroyers normally sit. But no matter where you go in them, if you want to have good visibility, you're going to have to open yourself up to be seen. And on a map like this, that's really bad. Like that will not work in your favor. So let's just keep going. The only other places to really scout is if you get into some little divots. And even then, they're kind of dangerous from the pink side. Like, the pink side doesn't have any great places to scout from. At least compared to the green side. There are still some nice places, but they're not great. So the first position that we can kind of take is here. And the main reason you want to take this is so you can spot the guys who are going to be sat behind the dead tanks at the top, and also some guys coming into A. So the only time you take this position is if you want to be proactive and you've just spawned in, you go here, you spot the guys, and then you instantly move to B. And you try and take B. That's the only time you should take a position like that. Because once you get in this hole, you can't get out. You will get shot. The other scouting positions are places like here. And as I said, they're not very good, at least compared to the other side. You can't see the whole of the map. So you sit in a place like this, you can see the tanks at the back, you can scout anything that's going towards A, but you can't cover B and C. Like you can on the other side behind one of those tanks. I wish there was a better position on this side, but there just really isn't. I mean, you have the embankment, which is over here. But I mean, what are you going to do in this position? I mean, you can... Let's go here where it's a bit lower. You can scout along the main road for people going to sea. You can kind of scout into the river, but not really. You can scout the main entrance into the river. You can scout some guys coming across A, and you can scout the people behind the tanks. So this is probably the best position for pure scouting. But once again, you're kind of useless once the game gets past like even the 2-minute mark on Berlin. If you're trying to actually impact the game. So the best place to go is probably here, and then push into the river and try and help out your guys at B. You can't really push right because you'll get shot straight away, and you can't really push left because the same thing will happen. That's the issue with Berlin. It's pretty much a tank destroyer's paradise, or a heavy tank's paradise. They just sit at the back of the map and it'll just kill you. So yeah, from this side, the pink side, scouting is not very good. Like, it's obviously very useful for your team, but the positions that you can take are just not very nice, at least compared to the green. So let's get on to the next map. Oh shit. Nah. Double clicked my turn my mic on button. We're going back into Berlin and then we're going straight out again. Yeah, this flu's hit me really hard. Like the biggest issue I'm having is sleeping. I can't stop coughing, so I can't sleep. Like I can lay in bed for like 10 minutes and then I'll cough and therefore I can't sleep. And then a recent development of the last few days is I've started sneezing as well, which is not something I've ever done before while coughing. So yeah, there's that. Battle is in progress, come on. There we go. So the next map is Eastern Europe. Eastern Europe's good for scouting. I probably do some unorthodox stuff though, compared to what some other players may say you should do. But from the green side, it's incredibly self-explanatory. Like there's a really nice position that I always take on Eastern Europe, no matter what tank I'm really in. Like I suppose it does matter a little bit, but not a lot. If we're on this side, then you just go up near the houses and scout, and then try and push through to the forest here. If you're on the pink side, on this side, you just go to the forest and sit there, and scout the whole of the town. So that's how you do that form of the map. If you're on this type of map, then you push up here, take a left, take a hard left. Oops. Right, there we go. And you just sit here. The reason you sit here is you're completely covered from both sides. You can spot everything that is coming from A or around A. Down this central road, you can generally get about 4 or 5 spots off. At the same time, once they push through, you can spot them here. And if any of them push through to like here, you can spot them as well. You can also be a little bit cheeky, and if you feel like it, like take a pot shot and then move back. But if you want to do that, you've got to make sure that your engine face is facing this way so you can get out of it as quickly as possible. But yeah, from this position, you can just counter a whole enemy advance and just let your team know who's going to be pushing B, where the majority of the enemy team is, by just sitting here. So that's pretty much what you do. You just sit here and wait for the enemy team. Alright, so then we push this way. Once the initial battle is won, so let's say either side... let's say that the pink side has taken B. Let's say they push through and they've taken B. So they'll be here. So we'll be here because they've taken B. The best thing to do is just to wait. Try and get some spots off as they push through C. By the point in this battle, the battle is lost. You must understand this because there's no way that you're recouping this. Eastern Europe is a very snowbally map. Which sucks, but it is how it is. So if the enemy team ever gets near C or on C, just understand it's lost and you're just trying to make as much points as possible. At the same time, if they have pushed through B, they will have also pushed around here. Right? So if they're pushed around there, then you're going to have to fight them with quite a lot of vigor. And you'll be able to fight them there and then scout anything that's at C. If your team pushes through B, then you really only have one option. You've got to stick to the outskirts here. You pretty much just pick your point. If let's say they've pushed through B, but there's a lot of people in the, you know, in the grasslands over here. Then all you've got to do is just spot them for your team while pushing through. If you spot them, they'll all die. And if not, then, you know, generally you have a good enough gun to take them out, as long as it's not something that's crazy heavy. So let's go forth. You want to push round as wide as possible while sticking to the bushes. And while you're pushing through, you want to make sure to check all of the little divots and hills and everything as you push on. So there we go. You push to here, and you just keep pushing through. Simple as, really. Just checking everything, scouting anything that you see, making sure to keep safe and not get shot, because obviously you're kind of useless if you die. Most scout tanks get one shot, or they get two shots, because the round doesn't explode in them, so they have to find a second round. But the point is, you slowly work your way through this, and once you're through this on this side, you go up here. Now, a lot of enemy teams will suspect something is up here, but you have a trump card, you have the scout ability. So you can scout people, but you don't have to shoot them, so you don't have to expose yourself to them, especially if they're in AA or something, if they're on their second spawn. So if you get to this point, then your team should pretty much win the battle every time. So yeah, there's that. From the pink side, the main thing you want to do is try and cap A. For me personally, I like being aggressive on the pink side. I feel like because of the way that the vegetation is laid out, you can afford to be. Because especially in a quick tank, a lot of people aren't going to notice where you are. And it seems like a lot of people negate the southern parts of the map and just want to fight in the town. And that's completely fine if they want to do that. But they've got to understand that, you know, there's going to be assholes like me who push around. So you cap the point, and then you immediately go this way. You put your binoculars up, and you look at this corner the whole time. Because there's probably going to be one or two people. Hopefully you're in a fast light tank, so you can scout them and then keep moving so they don't hit you. And you want to get to this position here. Right here. Now the reason we take this position is because if you go any further like here, people in the town can shoot you, and if you have been spotted, then obviously you will die. So you have to wait here a little while, just to make sure that nobody has seen you, and then when you move up, you can spot anybody who's on the outskirts of the town, and you can move to this little island here. Once you move to this island, you can move on to the next island, keeping this path, making sure that there's nobody here. Sometimes there'll be a sneaky guy who'll be sat on this corner. You do have to watch out for him, because obviously he'll take you out. But once you're in this position, you're pretty much plain sailing. So you check this area to see if anybody's sat on the corner that I talked about before, and if they're not, then that's great. If you have to shoot, then understand that the enemies will probably know that you're there. But you can take like a position like this, and as long as you don't shoot, you can scout everything from the enemy's second spawn coming in, or the first spawn if they haven't pushed up aggressively. So that means you can really help your team out in this position. So you've got to be a lot more aggressive from the pink side compared to the green side, and that's completely fine. Like I think that playstyle works. Sometimes it'll work out for you. Sometimes you get shot. It's just something you got to get used to. If you want to play more relaxed, you could just go up near the windmill and have about 50 people shoot at you constantly, because that's what'll happen if you go up there. Alright, we'll do one more, and then I'll take a break and then come back. So, Finland. Finland is another one which doesn't lend itself great to scouting, and the reason for this is because your team is very divided. There isn't like a single road that people go down. Finland is pretty much designed to split up your team, so it can end up with a lot of times if you just don't have enough tanks, which have gone to one point and the enemy does, then the enemy just pushes straight through you and there's nothing you can do. And because one side has been more aggressive than the other, then there's, once again, not really a lot to do. A lot of people will talk about going through the center point, using the two hills, which are sat here and here. I personally don't like these points, because I feel like it's very easy to get caught out on them, and people artillery strike them constantly, so that is something to think about. I think controlling A, if you're able to control A, you can push from A to B quite easily, because you take this part, right? And this part is key to securing B, because you get perfect sight of what's going on. So the first thing we do may seem very innocuous, but you just sit in a position like this. And you can do this on either side, like the rocks near the pink side as well, you should be doing it as well. So you sit in a place like this, you spot anything on the hill over there, which there will be people, you spot anything on the hill here, you spot anything coming down this road, but the one thing you don't do is get shot. So after either the initial battles have been won at A, or people have been fighting at A, then what you have to do is you have to push around. So nicely, they have given us this little area in Finland where you can actually get down and away from some of the fire. But instead of capping A, leave that to your allies. Unless you're absolutely dominating A, then obviously get it. But your main job is to keep spotting people on this hill, and also to push around to that hill. You need to get behind the enemy on this map, and take them out. Now remember, I'm doing this very quickly, but understand, this is a very slow, methodical process, checking this over and over and over again, making sure there's no guns, making sure there's nothing coming up that road from the spawn. All of this stuff you should be doing while pushing house to house, you know, rock to rock. And once you get to here, you push up this road, use your binoculars to have a look. So you go here, use your, oops, there we go, more like here. Use your binoculars to have a look. There'll generally be one or two guys here. You can pop around the corner, smoke one of them, and smoke the other one. Now this gives you complete control of A. You obviously need to have a look down here as well. Sometimes they'll react aggressively towards you, which is something which is good, because it means they're focused on you and not anything shooting at them. So yeah, you do that, and then once that's done, you push back to A. You can go down this road, but I don't like taking it because generally you'll get ramroded by somebody behind you who's just spawned in. So I prefer, once taking that hill and taking everybody out, moving back near A. And let's say you've lost the battle at B, then either people are going to be coming over this hill or you are going to come over the hill. That's pretty much how it goes. So you go up to this hill. From here you can spot pretty much anything which is around B. You do have to watch out for the sides here since there's a road right here and obviously a lot of trees. But there are, if you've checked everything, you can start using the divots which are sat around B to be able to scout from and down all of the roads. I don't like doing it around C on this map I think it's a terrible idea. Around C is pretty much a dead zone for me personally, just because it's a battle of who can get the first shot off. And scouts can't really do anything in that scenario. So on the other side, you do exactly the same thing, apart from you start off here. That's it. Simple as that with Finland. Nothing crazy. Let's just check what the next one is. Because we've been going about an hour. My voice is killing me. I can do another stream in a little bit when I've relaxed my voice. And we can do the next ones. So I just have to make a mental note that we're going to be on jungle because I want to do White Rock Fortress. No, it's not over yet. Be over soon though. Right, so we'll do White Rock Fortress. I kind of like this map, just because it has a lot of weird and wonderful opportunities. But one of the things that you can't do is find a position which overlooks all of the points. This map is pretty much designed to isolate all of the points, and therefore you have to once again pick the place which has the most people coming through, or is going to be the one which will what's the word? Which will be the most beneficial to your team. So on this side, it's very obvious to me where that area is, and it's A. And the reason for this is not A itself, because A is really easy to take if you're on this side, but what you have on the enemy side is this road on the back here that everybody goes down. So your job as a scout is to make sure that your team knows after they've captured A what they're dealing with after they've captured A. So if we go over here, whoop, there we go. So what you do is you go up here. Now, because you do this in the first minute of the battle or so, you're not under any pressure. Nobody's going to really shoot you, but just do check while you go up there, this area here, because there may be a really quick tank which has got there first. But anyway, from this position, you are completely covered, and you can just spot the main entrance where the enemies are going to be coming out of. You could also spot this side if they come down here. At the same time, if we push up a little bit, or if you decide to go on the other side and get to the bridge on here, which is also very viable, you can once again have a look. You can once again have a look at the main entrance where there's going to be at least 1 or 2, maybe 3 guys. You can have a look at the other road where they may come down, but also it gives you the opportunity to be able to fight them head on. Because what will happen, especially at the higher tiers, like I'm talking rank 4 and 5, is there will be a lot of people who will just push this road here. And they'll push this, and you're going to have to be able to deal with them. Now, hopefully, you'll have some guys on this bridge to help you out. If you don't, then you're going to have to run, and you're going to have to run hard. Now, luckily, a lot of scout tanks have smoke shells. So you're going to have to pop them, you're going to have to run like a crazy man. Because there's nothing else you're going to be able to do. You just got to go. But from this position, you're completely covered, and you can spot everything coming out of that left-hand spawn. If you're on the purple side, oops. I try and stay away from the south side of the map because it's who shoots first area, and that's pretty useless for scout tanks. So if we go down here, let's just make our way over to that spawn. But yeah, it's a mixture of rocks and little things. People don't really need scouting over there because it's very linear on how people play. You just push down that one road and that's it. So there isn't like a forking path like there is on this area. Also, scouting in the fortress itself at B is completely impossible. You should only go for B if it's near the end of the battle, and you've done everything else. So, let's say we spawn over here. The first thing to do is to push this way. There we go. And sit right here. Now, what we have to do from this position is turn around. We have to make sure to spot everything. Actually, it's probably better. No, it isn't. We have to spot everything that's on here before they shoot us. And if you're in a fast light tank, this shouldn't be an issue. So, yeah, you look through here, you spot anything here. You also spot anything that may be on the point trying to get up, and then you just get the hell out. So you may get like 3 spots off at most, and then you gotta run. The reason you have to run is because once that place is captured, people will look your way. They'll look at that spot and they'll know that you're there. And since you're in a light tank, you have a lot of armor, you don't really want to shoot if you're scouting, or at least you want to keep the shooting to the minimum, then yeah, you just want to go. It's much easier. Now, from this position, it's kind of a little sneaky one, but you can spot some of this wall here. You can also spot the entrance there, without having to take confrontation. One of the biggest things you're going to have to do on the pink side is you may have to take some not very nice trades. So if you're here, for example, you're going to have to make sure that the person who sat here, because there normally is somebody who sat here, that they're looking the other way or they've just fired. You're going to have to push up, which is going to take a while, especially if you have rough acceleration. You're going to have to shoot them, hug the wall right here to make sure that nobody can shoot you from that other side, and just keep pounding them. Until they're dead. And then from here, you scout anything that's here. You can see the point, you can see anything past the point as well, where the enemy may have pushed up. This is a perfect position for a scout on the pink side. And once you win the battle at A, even if you've lost the battle at B and C, you can just push around to their spawns, spawn camp them, and eventually your team will be victorious, as long as they're not all turnips. And sometimes, yeah, they are all turnips. That's just how it is. But let's just see. I don't know how many I did. I think I may have done like 5. So let's just do a quick calculation here. Oh, not a calculation, just some thoughts. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I did 6. So we have quite a few to go, but that's okay. This is a good start. I do need to get some more medicine and stuff like that, so I might be back maybe in about an hour, because I want to watch some of the CSGO. But yeah, thanks for watching. As I said, this stuff will go up on the YouTube channel, so if you're watching it there, thank you for watching it there as well. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. I'll see you in a bit.